back to another video. So today, I'm going to be talking about a storyline in Wings of Fire that I believe to be the least discussed thing in the fandom. Despite it being huge in Pentalen lore, I never see fans talk about it, like, at all. And that's the story of Freedom and Dusky. While I'm not a huge fan of Book 15, I can't deny that I love the emotions these two character tales brought me. I'll be recapping their histories and discuss why exactly I think the fandom hasn't latched onto these as much as they have for some of the iconic plots. This video does contain spoilers for the Flames of Hope, so do keep that in mind. But before we begin, a huge shout out to my patrons. Dragulord95, Slightest Wild, Thistle, Noopto, Pyronuke, Avril, Pancake, and Ascarada. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Links to their social medias are in the description down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Over 5,000 years before the events of the main series, the continents were nothing close to how we know them now. In fact, the main part of Wings of Fire itself, dragons, were completely different. They seemed infinitely more feral to humans, who ruled the continent of Pyria. There were three known empires of mankind: the Diamond Empire, the Jaguar Empire, and the unnamed empire Cottonmouth is from. These were the largest human settlements, each obsessed with territory and financial gain. The continued wars between the three only grew worse as time went on. Cottonmouth, a scientist and eventually advisor to the Emperor in the Third, realized that he needed to do something in order to turn his enemies to dust. During that time, the three empires began to devise plans to use the dragons of their world to their benefit. However, seeing as adult ones were deadly and rare, Cottonmouth proposed the idea of searching for egg nests instead. That way they could raise the dragonets inside and tame them to become killing machines for the humans. It would put them above all their enemies, who were still trying and failing to force the large creatures of the sky to be their pets. However, even Cottonmouth's experiments proved unsuccessful for a long time. Scientists, soldiers, and dragonets died in blazes of fury. The dragons refused to bow down to people, scared and in pain. But it wasn't just the newborns who suffered. Their mothers knew their eggs had been stolen, and they wanted revenge. Cottonmouth, after years of failure, began to seek even darker methods of getting the dragonets to submit, and wished to find some way to mind control them, rather than merely tame these beings. He still found no way to accomplish this for a long time, and not before the dragons finally fought back. Someone known only in scrolls as the First Dragon Queen organized the Morning Mothers of Pyria. We don't know exactly how sentient dragons were back then, but by this point they were aware enough to form armies of pure rage. Eventually, they all soared across the continent at the Queen's command, and burned down every human settlement they could find in retaliation for their stolen eggs. In this chaos, Cottonmouth and several others fled from Pyria. They did not know where their voyage would take them. They wanted out. Before hopping into the boat, Cottonmouth grabbed one final dragon egg from his laboratory and brought it with the group. The dragonet inside here would eventually be known as Freedom. Cottonmouth had his wish when he arrived Pantala, or so he thought. The hard-hearted human explored the jungles of the continent and found a plant that could control ants, and eventually experimented on it to create a weapon of his own, the Other Mind. Though Cottonmouth had little success when using it on other animals and humans, he didn't let that stop him. With time, the dragonet egg hatched, causing Freedom to enter this world. The hatchling was subjected to torture in her small time of real life. And, as Cottonmouth tried to inject her with the Other Mind to make it control her, he accidentally got caught in the plant's vines. It shot through both his head and the dragonets. While their bodies died, their souls and minds lived on in the breath of evil. With this, Cottonmouth did get his wish. He can control the plant however he liked now. But it came at a cost. Not only was his physical form now dead, but he also had to live the rest of his entire existence with a furious undead dragonet, for all of eternity. He called this dragon Lizard and demeaned her. For 5,000 years, Cottonmouth controlled the other mind. The scientist's obsession with power grew and grew, and he forced those who had traveled with him to bring him new animals and plants to infect on the continent. Meanwhile, Lizard suffered. She had experienced no life of her own before her death. She was stolen from her mother before she had the chance to even see or hear her, and had to exist in a world where she knew there were dragons experiencing love. Freedom understandably grew bitter. In the heads of the dragons Cottonmouth had them infect later on, she saw lives of affection. She began to hate her species, just like she did the humans, and saw them incapable of doing good, as she had never had any dragon love her before. Freedom believed everyone should feel bad for her in her miserable existence, which is why she never sympathized with anyone the Breath of Evil took. She was robbed of life, so why care if anyone else is? It wasn't fair to her. Nothing was. The only things Freedom admired were the dragons she saw in Cottonmouth's memories. They were fierce and scary fighters, something she wanted to emulate, as she saw dragons as reptiles and beasts due to her limited experiences. It took meeting Luna, Dusky, and the others for this dragon to understand why everyone was fighting. Freedom's death was quite sad, seeing as she never truly had a life to begin with. She was unfortunately robbed of that, and even saved the world when she had no personal or logical reason to. Despite Freedom's complexity and situation, she's a character I don't think I've seen a Wings of Fire fan so much as mention in years. The same goes for Dusky, the adorable silkwing dragon that Luna befriends and takes care of in Book 15. He changes not only her perspective, but also Freedom's, and gives hope. I'm gonna be honest though, I'm not a fan of the Flames of Hope. And while I'm still dissatisfied with this conclusion to Arc 3, I can't deny the fact that Freedom's story was really beautiful. But due to the way fans don't seem to care for this ending, that wraps Freedom up in it. Even though I don't enjoy this part of the series in particular, the writing involved with Freedom specifically was really impactful. I would love to see more fan art of her, especially with her design being so unclear. And fanfiction too. I do strongly believe that this plot, whether you like it or not, is one of the most forgotten story elements in Wings of Fire. I mean, think of the last time you heard someone even mention any of the names here. It's very interesting to note. What do you guys think? Were you interested in Freedom's story? Did it take a while to pull you in? Or were you never really a fan of how it went? Let me know down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.